Welcome to Mass Appeal on this Tuesday morning. I'm Ashley Cole.
And I'm Seth Stem. We're going to jump right into it today. Boiled, grilled, fried, pureed, no matter how you cook it, it's always delicious. What do you think we're talking about?
I know what we're talking about. It's right
corn.
in front of me. It's
That's
corn.
true.
It's so good. And
It
here to
smells
help us
great.
celebrate corn season for celebrating is personal chef Bill Collins with a delicious recipe for creamed corn. Chef Bill, nice to have you here.
It's good to be here, thanks. Yeah, corn, it's in season right now. So you might look at a couple of the dishes that we're doing today and say really hot stuff on a hot day. But the great thing about these recipes is that you can do a little bit of the prep beforehand. Even if you just cook the corn, take the kernels off the cobs and freeze them, you can do the rest later. But you want to do some of that now because the corn is so flavorful. The stuff you get the rest of the year from out of state, it's almost barely corn. So this is just the time to do it.
Before we get on, and I feel like I'm starting to veer off topic already, but if I want to make corn niblets out of my corn, how do you cut it? Is there a great way to cut it?
There is a great way, and a lot of times you look at magazines and they'll say, "Oh, you want to do this? Like put it on top of a bundt pan to catch the corn, catch the nibbles."
It's
brilliant.
And that is a clever
not
idea.
brilliant?
Oh no, it works perfectly fine sometimes unless you have a wobbly bundt pan. But my point is, so if it goes a little round on the cutting board, just make sure you have a big cutting board. If you use a small cutting board, you're going to have a mess. But what I like to say is do it in 2 steps. So you want to take the kernels off this way. See, it's not going all over the place.
Well, that's
Kind
you
of
got a
easy.
nice knife you're working with there,
Well,
too.
yeah, I recommend you get a nice knife.
Now, is it because you're cutting more deeply into the corn?
Well, because actually, not necessarily, but it just makes it cutting easier if you have a sharp knife. But the thing is, what they don't always tell you are there are 2 steps to this. You do it once, and then I like to do it with a little bit of a thicker knife. You do it again, because what's going to happen is you can see all the corn, you're really just kind of scraping down. All these little bits are coming off, and there's so much, not just liquid in there, but just so much great flavor that it's just going to add to whatever you're cooking. So rather than toss it out, just do it one more time, just scrape down, and that's going to go right into whatever it is you're making.
What a great idea. I never even thought to keep scraping the corn
You
cob.
don't even think
Exactly.
about it, because when you're eating it too, now looking back on all the corn I've eaten, so much waste because you just eat the stuff on the top.
Exactly, and I'm not recommending you sharpen your teeth, but that's just the way it is when you eat it right off the cob. Now another thing, oh good, I'm burning
We're
this here.
We're celebrating corn season with a little sizzle.
Exactly. Now, another thing, I'll just put that there for a moment to quiet down.
Little mess.
But another thing about it is when you go to cook your corn, a lot of people get this big pot of water, they fill it up, they boil, boil the water takes, 10, 15, 20 minutes for it to do that. Actually, just put a couple of inches of water in the pot and really just steaming the corn. I like to go about 9 minutes so you get a nice firm corn, that's sizzling away. You get a nice firm corn flavor and it's not mushy. 9 minutes and it's faster, it's easier, you're not panicking, oh my God, I gotta put dinner on, and you still have to boil all that water. So
Right.
it makes it nice and easy that way.
And one thing you said earlier I want to go back to really quick is that you
Sure.
said you can freeze the corn niblets.
Yes.
So you actually can save that fresh seasonal corn for Thanksgiving.
Exactly. I would recommend doing a few things. One is you freeze the corn. It freezes beautifully. But another thing is freeze the cobs. Because what we're going to be doing today with the cream corn especially is that you want to simmer the cobs in the liquid. What's going to happen is with the cream corn recipe I have here, I've already sauteed some onions and peppers, and I put in some evaporated milk. Now, what's going to give it its flavor is you take the cobs and you simmer in there, in this case, for about 20 minutes.
So you're using it like a bouillon cube for flavor.
Exactly, and it's called infusing, and you really, instead of just having like a corn soup or this with just some corn in it, you're getting a corn flavor in every bite. And it's not just the great flavor of the corn, but it really just, it's in every bite and every part of it, not just the corn niblets itself.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Now, you obviously you got to make sure you take the cobs out before you eat it.
Sure, yeah, you just pluck them out.
Or else
and-
it's not really going to be very
Exactly.
yummy.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to eat around them. So that's what I recommend you do is for this recipe, for the creamed corn, and in this case, I'm just using evaporated skim milk. So there's no cream, it's even healthier. So it's healthy for the whole family, and it tastes great. Because what happens with evaporated milk is as you simmer it, it thickens up a little bit. So that's going to give you some body as well as a little secondary corn scrapings that we put on there. Simmer that for 20 minutes with the lid on, and you get this great corn flavor. Then throw your corn in, and you're done. I mean, the corn will take just moments to heat up.
Chef Bill, take us through those first steps again, because I know you said onions and I see peppers in there.
Yep.
Did you saute those first? Or?
Yes, I did. I sauteed them for like 5 minutes. Very easy. A little olive oil, and then saute them. And then I put in the evaporated milk. And then brought it, in this case I used 2 cans of it, brought it to a simmer. And once it simmers, it starts to thicken up a little bit. Throw the cobs in, keep it on a low simmering heat, unlike what I just did. And low simmering heat, and for about 20 minutes, and then throw in the corn and you're ready to go. And this also freezes beautifully. So you can do it now and freeze it ahead for later, or if it lasts that long, because you're going to find it's really, really good. and I actually have some already made here. So it's such a great flavor. And I've got a couple of cups here. If you can hand me this.
Oh, look at
ladles. I
this.
was gonna
Ready
say
to
3.
serve. So this is actually really called like creamed, not so cream corn.
Exactly. That's why when I do the recipe, I write it with quotation marks. It's be really hot, so
Cream
be
corn.
careful. With quotation marks on it, because there's not really cream involved. You see how much corn is in there. It's so crazy flavorful.
And you know what I'm not
This is
seeing in
healthy.
here? A huge amount of fat. Did you put any oil or anything here
It's funny, I
beforehand?
put in just not even a tablespoon of oil. And so when you look at, and that's olive oil, so when you look at all of this that this made, I would say that's probably half a gallon of 2 quarts worth of cream corn that I
that-
made with a tablespoon of olive oil. That's all the fat that went in there.
Well,
So
I'm
Looks
dying
great,
to
Chef
try
Bill.
it.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to take a little bit of a break for now.
Sure.
Welcome back to Mass Appeal, everyone.
We are back in the kitchen with personal chef Bill Collins. Earlier we made creamed corn. Now we're going to make some corn soup.
Absolutely. Now, the difference between corn soup and just plain old soup, and in this case, I made a corn chicken soup, is the difference between actually regular chicken soup is that, again, similar to what we did with the milk, is we're going to just take the cooked cobs with the corn off and simmer them, and really for a couple of hours. So we won't be here for a couple of hours.
Oh, good.
But simmer them in chicken stock or vegetable stock or even water if you want, and to get the real corn flavor going throughout the whole soup. Because oftentimes when you have a corn soup or a corn chowder, it's really a nice soup that has some corn in it. The difference in this is you get corn in every flavor. It's infused throughout all the broth. So go, wow, that's very corny. So
In a good way.
In a very good way.
And it's one of those things, if you have a big freezer, you're right, save them every time. Just throw them in the freezer because you never know when you're going to want a corn soup.
Exactly, and the great thing is, and if you don't have a big freezer, is just take the cobs and freeze them on their own. And then when you get in the mood for, and the corn if you can, but in the mood for the corn soup as the weather gets cooler, which it will, then what you want to do is just take them out of the corn and simmer them then. You can do it, October, November, whenever. Because the corn, again, the season is now, and it's so good. And that's a great thing about being here in Western Mass. We've got so many great farms, and the corn is completely local. You can't drive a half a mile without seeing somebody selling corn by the side of the road.
It's very true.
So it's so flavorful. So really the secret is simmer this a couple of hours. Simmer with the top on. You want to cover on this, because what's going to happen is if you leave it off, the house is going to smell great, but as you see the steam coming up, it's going to just reduce so much. You're going to end up with about that much stock.
You don't
Corn
want that.
paste.
Corn paste, that's exactly it. So what you want to do is take at least a quart or 2, however much you want, simmer it with the lid on, and then from there you can make whatever kind of soup you want. I've made, in effect, a chicken soup with corn, but a corn soup, and I boil the chicken ahead of time. And what you can also do is, if you want to start this to get even more flavor in, because this is very chickeny, is I boiled the chicken in with the stock and the cobs. But I took the chicken out after about half an hour once it was cooked. So you just
Tasty
have
broth.
all these flavors going on there, and then you put in whatever vegetables you want. In the case of this soup, some carrots, some celery, corn, of course, and a few potatoes. Again, because the potato season, locally, when you get in the mood for the cooler weather, they're just going to be, again, by the side of the road until the first frost hits. So this could be such a local dish with great flavors, and you've actually improved the flavors as opposed to making just a terrific soup which isn't as flavorful. So you're really taking advantage of what you have here and oomping up the flavor.
Oomping it, that's
You're
right.
oomping it.
You're also oomping it with some onions and carrots, I see in there.
Onions and carrots, and the potatoes are sitting way out of camera range, but I've got potatoes. They're there.
They're there.
Trust me, they're there. And then again, you've got the corn here, and as we were demonstrating earlier, it's so easy to take the corn, the kernels off.
Whoa.
And-
Do it.
Watch your fingers there, Stutman.
Yep.
I used to do this for a living.
Yeah. So
Hey.
and you see how easy it comes off.
Chef Bill, can I ask you something that's been bugging me all
Yes,
day long?
please.
What is a niblet? Why do they call it a niblet? I know what they are, but why is it called a niblet?
Oh boy, I don't
Did
know.
you
So
start? Did you start using that word? Or
No,
you're the
you
one
did.
that-
No.
you
Oh, I
started
did?
using it. and I
America
picked up
uses
on
the
it.
word
Oh,
niblet.
sure.
Yeah, well, how would Chef Bill know?
Because I always call it the kernels.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
corn
kernels.
kernels.
Did I call it a niblet?
You
I'm-
did.
oh.
Everyone
so-
calls it niblets,
and,
though.
And so I have no idea. And so don't forget, Seth, for that second, scraping down, use either side of the knife. Just kind of scrape down instead of the
Just
the
like
cutting.
kind of like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe.
just like that. Or no, use both sides of the knife. but sometimes a smaller knife might be a little more handy. But you see, just those, again, you got it exactly right, those little bits of corn coming off of there.
It's all the stuff you normally
So
miss.
then you just
Yeah.
throw it all together. Hey, how about a quick corn trivia?
Uh-oh. I mean, yes.
Do you want to play real
I'll
quick?
play.
Okay,
away.
so farmers grow corn in every continent except...
Antarctica.
And
oh
that was
my
gonna be
goodness,
my
how
guess.
did you know that? One bushel of corn can sweeten how many cans of pop?
Lots of them.
325 cans.
That's
One more
exactly
for
what I
you.
was gonna
How
say.
many kernels does one bushel of corn contain?
8,000.
72,800. Oh my goodness.
You knew
Tomorrow
that,
on Massaville, whether you're picking them from your garden, the store, or your farmer's market, we'll show you how to cook with new potatoes and heirloom tomatoes.
Plus, we'll give you a lesson in tarot card reading with a psychic medium. Stay tuned for 22 News at noon coming up next.
Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.